Hi there. Today I'm sharing with you all of the books I have on my physical TBR, my shelves, that are the starts of fantasy series that I have not yet gotten to. I missed one. I'll grab it later. Yeah, these are all the books that I really need to get to. So let's chat about these, because these are the fantasy series that you'll most likely see popping up on the channel that I'm reading this year, next year, as I make my way through this unbelievable stack. Starting with the first one. Let's just kind of work our way from top to bottom here. Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford. I bought this after seeing Elle from Elliot Brooks. Absolutely love it. I don't know much about it. I think there are guilds. I think it's like a steampunk fantasy kind of setting. I don't even know if that's accurate. It says, from an unmissable voice in epic fantasy comes a sweeping tale of clashing guilds, magic-fueled machines, and revolution. Yay! I just also received the sequel to this one from Orbit for review, so I will be actually prioritizing this one pretty soon, because now that the sequel is out, I'm more inclined to pick it up a lot sooner. I hate starting new fantasy series when only one book is out in that series, so I like to wait until at least the sequel is out in case I love it and I want to continue on right away. Same can be said for the Pariah by Anthony Ryan. This is one I saw, it was released a couple years ago, and I was very intrigued by the cover. It's beautiful. And this one says, it begins a new epic fantasy series of action, intrigue, and magic from Anthony Ryan, a master storyteller who has taken the fantasy world by storm. So that really doesn't tell you much about it, does it? So this is one that is by an author that I've been wanting to check out. You will see multiple books by this author, so I really need to get to it. And I know that the last book in this trilogy, I think, was just released. So now that it is a completed series, I have even more reason to prioritize it soon. So that's one I will also be probably reading this year. The next one is another one I will probably be reading this year for the same reason, Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. I've heard amazing things about this author. This says, not even the ties of blood will keep them from splitting the world in two. Surrounded by the relics of a dead empire, two siblings, one who wields magic for the empire and the other who has vowed to bring it all down, will battle for the fate of their world in the first book of this epic new fantasy trilogy. Again, I think the latest one just was released, so this is now completed, so I really need to get to it. I have the first two books already. Same thing with the Pariah. I have the first two books. Same thing for all three of these. So all three of these I will be prioritizing this year. Yay. Let me know if you've read any of them and you think I should prioritize one over the other, but I do want to read all of those. Let's start from this side, because this side is intimidating me right now with how tall it is. The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I've read this. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I really want to continue on with this series. I did not continue on with this series fast enough, so now I have to reread this before I continue on. It is a large book. It was a complicated book. There was a lot happening, but I really enjoyed it. So I really, really want to restart this so that I can continue on and finish out this series, especially since this author has a new book coming out this year. So once again, one I want to prioritize this year. What do I think I'm gonna do? I'm having a baby this year. Where am I gonna have the time to do all this? I don't know. Just, I'm being way too ambitious here. The next one I have is Battle Mage by Stephen Arion. This is one where I've read from this author before, The Coward and the Warrior. I enjoyed those. They weren't favorites, but I still really enjoyed them, and I really liked the writing style. So when I saw this one at a local used bookstore, I wanted to grab it because I really want to check out more of this author's works, and I think that this was his first like fantasy series release. So definitely want to check it out. It says, I can command storms, summon fire, and unmake stone, Balfrus growled. It's dangerous to meddle with things you don't understand. Balfrus is a battle mage sworn to fight and die for a country that fears his kind. Magic and mayhem collide in this explosive new epic fantasy. So definitely want to check it out. This is a completed series. I have no reason to not get to it. We'll see. The only reason I have not to get to it is time. What am I doing? Son of the Storm by Suyi Davies Okumboa. I think that the second book is being released this year, so that will make me want to prioritize this. I definitely want to get to it. I'd heard amazing things. I know my friend Joshana really, really loved this one, so she is the one who made me want to check it out. It says, in the city of Bassa, Danso is a clever scholar on the cusp of achieving greatness, only he doesn't want it. Instead, he prefers to chase forbidden stories about what lies outside the city walls. The Basai elite claim there is nothing of interest. The city's immigrants are sworn to secrecy. But when Danso stumbles across a warrior wielding magic that shouldn't exist, he's put on a collision course with Bassa's darkest secrets. Drawn into the city's hidden history, he sets out on a journey beyond its borders, and the chaos left in the wake of his discovery threatens to destroy the Empire. Sounds really good. So I definitely want to check this one out. Maybe when the sequel's released, that is when I will get to that one. Gideon the Ninth, I am for sure getting to. This is actually the book I'm going to read next after I finish Tigana, so this will not be on this list much longer. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I've heard extremely mixed reviews. Some people, this is like their favorite book of all time, that they love, love, love it. And then some people were like, I didn't get it. So I have no idea what to expect. I've heard it's weird. I've heard it's quirky. I've heard the characters are very sassy and fun, and they either work or they don't for you. So I'm just going in with a very open mind. I'm excited to see where I land on the spectrum of mixed reviews. Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. This is on my must-read list this year, so I have to get to it. I have to. Jessie, you have to. I don't know anything about it. I know R.A. Salvatore is an extremely prolific and popular fantasy author. Tons of older works, a backlist that is so long, but I think that this was a more recent release by him. I hope I like it. I hope I like it. I have to read it this year, so I'm definitely going to be prioritizing that one. The Final Strife by Sarah El Arifi. This is another one. The sequel just came out. My friend Joshana is the one who got me to pick it up. She loves this series so far. It sounds amazing. It sounds like it's very much a caste system driven by blood, and I am just so intrigued by it. It's pretty lengthy, but I really, really want to get to it. I think that this could be a favorite. I think this might be featured in my vlog series that I'm doing, Quest for My Favorite Fantasy Book. I think this might be featured in one, so really would love to prioritize it. I mean, all of have I said any of these are not going to be prioritized? How can anything be a priority when everything is? I don't know. A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This was a cover buy. This was absolutely a cover buy. I'm not even going to try to lie. 100% a cover buy. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I know Isa from Fun Fantasy Books loves this series, so I'm going to link her channel down below. Definitely go check it out. I have heard good things. I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people love it. Some people are like, meh. We'll see. We'll see. Joshana, you make me buy so many books. Soulless by Gail Carriger. This is another one. This one is a little different though than like these epic fantasies, because this is more of a paranormal fantasy series that I think is set in like a kind of Victorian England setting. I don't know. It sounds like a lot of fun. So definitely want to check that one out. I don't know when, but eventually. Jade City by Fonda Lee. I have read this. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And then I just didn't continue. And now it's been too long and I have to reread it. Same thing with The Shadow of What Was Lost. I have to reread this. Everyone and their mother has talked about this book. Everyone seems to love it. I've actually seen some mixed reviews, so I remember really enjoying it. It kind of reminded me of Succession, and it kind of reminded me of Peaky Blinders, but in a fantasy world that is feeling more modern and more like our world, but a fantasy world nonetheless. It was a lot of fun. I really want to continue on with that series. Rise of the Ranger, book 1 in the Echoes saga by Philip C. Quantrell. I've heard amazing things about this series from Patrick, whose channel I will link down below. A self-published series. I think there are 9 books. Oh my God. What am I doing to myself? I don't know much about it, but I think it sounds amazing from his reviews. Whenever he talks about it, he says every book gets better and better in the series, so I will read it. I will. We Ride the Storm by Devin Mattson. It's a completed series now. Need to get to it. Sounded great. War built the Kissian Empire, war will tear it down. As an empire falls, 3 warriors will rise. They will have to ride the storm or drown in its blood. Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. It sounds like something I could really, really love. I just, when am I gonna read it? Sunlen Ascends. This is the Frothy Fantasy Book Club pick for next month. If you don't know, I do a fantasy book club in my Patreon. Every month we pick out a new fantasy book to read together, and Sunlen Ascends won the vote for next month. So this one will be read. I'm very excited. I know it's Alan's favorite, one of his favorite books. So I've heard kind of mixed things, but I've heard the writing's great and it's very different than any other fantasy book you've read. So I'm trusting you, Alan. I'm trusting you. The Unbroken by C.L. Clark. This is another one where the sequel just came out, and I've been hearing great buzz about the sequel, which makes me even more motivated to pick up this first book. I believe this is quite a political fantasy. It says it has uprising, espionage, empire, all the buzzwords. So do want to check this one out. I really, really do. I need to get to that one. Rise of the Mages by Scott Drakeford. This was so kindly sent to me by the author, and I haven't heard anything about a sequel, but because this was sent to me, I really need to get to it. I really want to read it. It sounded great. Like, it sounded like it was gonna be this epic fantasy fun. It says it combines gripping personal vengeance with compelling characters for an action-packed read. Emriel Iyer wants nothing more than to test to be a weapons master. His final exam will be a bloody insurrection staged by corrupt nobles and priests that enslaves his brother. With the aid of his master of war, Tutor, herself an undercover mage, Emriel discovers his own latent and powerful talents. To rescue his brother, Emriel must embrace not only his abilities as a warrior, but also his place as last of the ancient Mage kings, for the fallen god has returned and he is hungry. That, I mean, again, that sounds like something I will really, really enjoy. I just need to get to it. Joust by Mercedes Lackey. I've been wanting to check out some Mercedes Lackey. I know she's an extremely popular older releases fantasy author, I think more from like the 80s. But there's a huge backlist that Mercedes Lackey has, and I saw this at a used bookstore and the cover was just so magnificent I had to grab it. I haven't heard much about it at all. I think it has dragons. Definitely has dragons. The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is my last chance with N.K. Jemisin. I've tried the 5th season. I wasn't a huge fan. I've tried The City We Became. I did not enjoy that one. The Inheritance trilogy I've heard is great. So this is it. This is my last chance with N.K. Jemisin. I really hope I like it. It says, gods and mortals, power and love, death and revenge, she will inherit them all. If there is one N.K. Jemisin I will like, it is most likely this one, I think. I hope. I'd love to love N.K. Jemisin like the rest of the fantasy community. We will see. The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan. I just received a new release by this author, The Sword Defiant, and I really want to read that one. So I don't know when I'll get to The Gutter Prayer, because this was his, I believe, Was it his first release? It's not a completed series yet. I think there are more books coming in this series, but there are several books out so far in this one. So I do really want to read it. It sounded so fun. It follows these 3 thieves, and I believe like one of them's a ghost, one of them's like a little creature. I don't know. It sounded really fun. So I do want to get to that one. I don't know what to say. It's not a completed series, so I don't have much motivation right now to pick up Name of the Wind, but I own it, and it's the book I've owned the longest on my TBR. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to prioritize it this year. I'm just being honest with you all. I'm probably not going to read this year because I don't think it's ever going to be completed. I really don't. I would love it to be completed. I just don't think it's going to happen. The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell. This is one I heard about from Alan, and I believe it is an Arthurian story, and I've heard amazing things. So I'm probably, again, not going to read this year. I'm just trying to be realistic with myself, trying not to prioritize every single thing. This one, though, The Aeronauts Windlass by Jim Butcher, another one Joshana likes that she got me to pick up. But this one, for the longest time, only the first book was out in this series. And I didn't know if Jim Butcher was going to continue on in this series because he's been busy with Dresden Files and other books, I think, and has not been writing the second book in the Cinder Spires. However, I did see an update that he is now beginning progress on the second book, and I believe it's going to get a release date or has a release date. So that actually does have me now intrigued to pick this one up. I probably won't do it this year, but when this series or when this sequel comes out, I will be much more inclined to pick it up and be motivated to read it. So I know Joshana really liked it. I know there is a talking cat companion, I believe, that is wonderful in this book. So I do want to still read it. I just kind of am awaiting that sequel. Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. I've heard incredible things about this first book. Now I've heard that the rest of the series goes downhill. I've heard that people really don't like the last book, which is probably why I haven't picked it up yet. But I do really want to read this first book at least because I've heard amazing things. I think it's just like a very classic feeling fantasy book and has really good writing and all the good things. So definitely still planning on reading it. It just that I think that's why I haven't been motivated to pick it up, is because the sequels aren't as well received as the first one. Time of Dread by John Gwynne. I love The Faithful and the Fallen. I love it. One of my favorite series of all time. Why have I not continued on with the Banished Lands series? I mean, this is one that takes place in the same world as The Faithful and the Fallen, but follows a different set of characters. I really want to get to this. I really do. But it's the same thing with The Shadow of the Gods, which does not take place in the same world, but is still one that I really love to get to. The sequel was released last year. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone seemed to really enjoy it. So both of these are John Gwynne's that I would love to get to this year. Realistically, I'll probably maybe get to one, if that. We'll see. This is one I'm for sure getting to because Nolan by Michael J. Sullivan, I mean, Legends of the First Empire is my favorite fantasy series, hands down. So this follows, I'm assuming, a character from Legends based on the title, and I really want to see what else is going on in this world. It takes place after the events of Legends, before the events of Rhaeria Revelations, and I've heard great things. So definitely want to get to this one. The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. This was sent to me in my Fairy Loot subscription box, and to be honest, if it hadn't been sent to me in that box, I don't know if I would have picked this up. I am planning on picking it up because I own it now, but I don't know that I'm prioritizing it for this year. I don't think. I think the sequel is coming out this year, so maybe next year when the sequel is like out and has some reviews around it. I haven't heard like the best things about this one, so I just haven't had a ton of motivation to pick it up. So maybe a next year kind of book. The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This is one where the sequel is coming out this year, and I would really like to get to it. I know Elle really enjoyed this one. I have seen some mixed reviews, and without the sequel out yet, I'm not prioritizing it yet, but maybe later in the year. Finally, oh my god, the last one. Oh no, because I forgot the other one. Okay, hold on. The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I've heard amazing things about this first book, but similar to Bloodsong, I haven't heard great things about the remainder of the series. I've heard a lot of people don't like how the series ends, so that is why I think I've probably not had a ton of motivation to pick it up. But regardless, I would still love to give this, at least this first book, a try, see if I really enjoy it. It's stunning, and it's an older release. Probably not this year, but maybe next year. Would love to try that one out. Okay, let me get the one I forgot. The Gunslinger, The Dark Tower by Stephen King. This is one I think I'm gonna get to this year, especially since it's not a very big book. It's pretty small compared to all these other books on my TBR. But I've heard that this first book is by far the weakest book in The Dark Tower, which doesn't have me super pumped to pick it up, but people seem to love the other books in this series. So if I can get past the Gunslinger and get to the good books, maybe this will be a favorite. So that is the final book on my TBR. So what books did you see here that you've read before that you think I should absolutely prioritize for this year? Leave those comments down below. And then what is the fantasy series that is on your TBR that you are most looking forward to getting to, most highly prioritizing? Leave those comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you want more information on exclusive content and how to further support the channel, you can always check out the description box for all of the information on my Patreon down below. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.